This is verse 48 of the 13th chapter, Gospel of Matthew, finishing up the parable that Jesus tells concerning the net that's cast into the sea and gathers all kinds of things out of the sea, most of which actually, by experience, were to be tossed away. But of course, typically, in this net would be good fish, and that's the crux of the account that Jesus gives here. There's a separation at the end. The worthless are being disregarded, but the things of value are being kept. So, hein here, relative pronoun, is referring to the net, which was feminine in the preceding verse, and so it carries forward now. This is the completion of one sentence. Hota, conjunction means when, so which, when. Eplerothe from pleroo, it means to fill to the full. The idea, third person singular. Aorist passive indicative, so when the net was completely filled, would be the idea. Anabibasantes. Unusual word, although the derivation is not all that unusual. The ana, of course, typically means up. The bibasantes is actually derived distantly from the word bino, which means to go, and so anabino typically means to go up. This is connected to that, drawn up, pulled up. This is the net, of course, so when it was full, it was pulled up. This is an aorist active participle. It's masculine plural nominative. The plural here because it's referring to what are really the unidentified subject, plural. We might say they did this, they did that, they said, and so on. That is kind of the nondescript subject here. So they, presumably the fishermen, those who were involved, or whoever is involved in making this separation, they having brought this net up on the shore. And that's what we have here, epi tone, epi with the accusative tone, aigialon, the shore, the beach. Interesting detail, certainly reflecting someone who's familiar with this entire process. So having the net being full, they having pulled it up on the shore, kai kathisontes, again this is a plural, aorist active participle, masculine plural nominative they, having sat down would be the idea. So the they, again, unidentified, but obviously it's the people who are involved in this. Sunelegzon. This is from sulego. Sul from sun means together, lego to speak, but it commonly was extended to mean to gather together, to speak together literally, but in that to gather together. And we have two things that are being gathered, ta kala, the good, substantive use of the adjective kala here, the good, plural, ace, onge. Onge was a vessel, a pot, or something like that. It was typically a word used to describe the vessel in which the fish would be placed, filled with water so they would remain alive, remain fresh on the boat. So the good are thrown into this pot. Ta, in contrast with the soft adversative here, but the, again, the plural neuter, sacra. Sacra means worthless. It doesn't mean evil so much, it just means the worthless, that which was not of any particular value. These nets would often trap all kinds of things, and the fishermen would have to sit there and evaluate each item, and of course most of them would be cast back into the sea, but the ones that were of value would be kept. Exo, of course, is a indeclinable adverb. It means outside or away. Abalon from balo, I cast. This is the third person plural, aorist active indicative. The worthless things are cast away. So the whole point of this is simply to indicate that just as you'd have this sort of enterprise completing a fishing venture in which there's a separation of the good from the bad, so Jesus here describing what amounts to presumably the end of the age, that's what he calls it. Some have tied this to the great separation that took place in 70 AD, in which there was a separating of the people of God from Old Jerusalem and the unbelievers, and that's probably at least a shadow of what's being suggested, but it does appear to be referring in the same way to a great final judgment, a great final separation at the end of the age ultimately, when a similar kind of thing would take place.